Hello there. My name's Rick Mitchell. I am the chief meteorologist at NBC5 in Dallas, Fort Worth. I've been a meteorologist I'm in my 35th year. And so the purpose of these videos is not necessarily for other meteorologists, it's for those of you that have an interest in weather and want to kind of see how we come up with forecasts. And it's designed to teach you along the way. Some of it's probably going to be above your head, but I'll try to make it so that a lot of folks can understand the things that I look at when making forecasts. And let's get started. The reason or what I'm going to talk about today is we have nice weather here in Texas this weekend, but it looks like by mid next week, we could have an intrusion of cold air, perhaps the coldest air of the season so far. And what are the factors that we're looking at when making that type of a forecast? So what we're going to do is start with what I call what is called the national blend of models. And what this is just a temperature forecast. Like, for example, here's today's high of 66 at DFW, 68 for Sunday, and then eventually it gets colder. Now, what the blend is just what it says. It is a blend of the different operational models, the European, the several American models, the Canadian models, takes all that output and kind of blends them together into one forecast. Some models are weighted heavier than others, but it does seem to give a pretty good trend of what's going to happen. And what's the trend? Well, it's mild for the next few days. Wednesday's kind of a transition day. We get a cold front coming into North Texas, and then certainly colder Thursday, Friday into Saturday. If we get down to 18 on Friday, as the blend suggests with this latest run, that would be the coldest of the season. Not talking record cold, but it is going to be cold. Okay, so that's what the blend has to say. What about just the straight up Canadian model? It also has a trend of going from mild to much colder. It's got a couple of days, Friday and Saturday, where temperatures in DFW would be in the teens and the highs would be in the lower 30s to 40s. So it's a cold snap. It doesn't last very long. We work our way out of it. Okay, that's the Canadian model. Let's check out the American model, known as the GFS. Okay, it's a little different, right? It's a little colder here. In fact, it's quite a bit colder, and the cold sticks around a little bit longer. But this is just one model, all right? It could be the outlier. It could be out in left field. But if this were to verify, that'd be a cold stretch for North Texas. That really would. Now, you've heard me talk about ensembles before. What an ensemble is, if you take the GFS, one model, and you tweak the equations 30 different times to see what kind of outcome you would get. Let's say you'd have 30 members of that ensemble. You could look at all 30 members and then take an average or a mean of those 30 little tweaks that you made, and you come up with the ensemble members. So this is the straight up, what we call operational GFS. These are the ensemble members, all right? Notice the ensembles are not as cold as the straight up operational model. Yeah, it's still cold. The ensembles for the GFS still showing highs in the 30s for Thursday and Friday and lows down to 17, not record setting, but still pretty cold. And then the temperatures slowly moderate as we go into next weekend. What about the European? You always hear me talk about the European. Same trend, mild through Wednesday. We start to see a transition day on Wednesday, and then colder, but not as cold as what the GFS is showing, and not even as cold as what the blend is showing. So, but just definitely a trend to colder air. So why is that? What's going to be happening? Well, first of all, let's start with our jet stream. Let's start with the current jet stream, because this is really the meat and potatoes of how we get colder air, warmer air, really all of our weather. Again, jet stream, we're looking at winds up at 18,000 feet. Today, got a big trough in the jet stream. You see that right here? That's responsible for the East Coast blizzard that is ongoing over the western United States. Big ridge of high pressure. Hey, it's going to be nice. That's why we've got temperatures in the 60s this weekend. Notice this little dip right here. That's going to be a potential rainmaker as we go through the day on Monday as it moves ashore. But generally, pretty mild weather across the west and colder weather in the Northeast. Now let's go forward in time and you'll see how the East Coast trough kind of lifts on out. We'll go into Monday. You see how the little upper low has moved from California into Texas. That brings with it a chance of showers, better chance across South Texas, but still pretty mild. One thing to note, let's look out here in the Pacific. See this ridge out in the Pacific? That has developed. Let me go backwards. Let me go backwards. All right. Out to, this is today, you have a trough in the Pacific. All of a sudden, or over the next few days, that trough is going to be replaced with a ridge. Now, this is very important. This is one thing you will learn as you get deeper into your meteorological education. When you have a ridge in the wintertime developing over the eastern Pacific that nudges all the way up into Alaska, Gulf of Alaska, that is a position that's favorable for tapping into some of the colder source regions for air up towards the North Pole. When that ridge builds up, it can tap into some of that colder air and it can bring it down. Now, if you follow these black lines, that's what air parcels do. They're going to run parallel to these black lines. So you can kind of trace where the colder air is going to go. It's going to go into the northern territories. It's going to go into Canada and eventually make its way into the northern United States. And over time, that cold air is shallow enough that it's going to make it all the way down into Texas. You know what they say, there's nothing but a barbed wire fence between Canada and the United States. That cold air will be funneled along the leading edge of the Rockies and down into Texas. The main reason for that is this ridge of high pressure. We call it a Gulf of Alaska ridge. And because of that configuration, that allows that colder air to come on in. Now we're out to Tuesday, Wednesday. Notice how the ridge is still there, still funneling colder air, not directly into Texas, but the brunt of it is going to go into Canada and the northern United States. But that cold air, some of it will find its way into North Texas. So this is a pattern that is cold. Now by the weekend, by Friday, we start to see on the European, the ridge breaking down. And that's why the European only has a few days of this colder air. But what's going to happen, and this is interesting to me, what's going to happen by midweek, we're going to see a snowstorm that's going to move across the central United States. And look at the snow that it's going to put down. This is the GFS snow between now and Thursday. So some areas are going to pick up from Colorado out through the Central Plains into to the upper Midwest. Some areas are going to pick up anywhere from 2 to maybe 12 inches of snow. So you're going to have a decent snowpack that has developed north of Texas. That snowpack aids in the development of cold air because, hey, snow is cold. Snow on the ground is going to help keep the air coming in from Canada from modifying. It's actually going to make it colder in Texas. Where is our source region coming from? Where's our air coming from? It's coming from that snowpack in the Central Plains. And that is also going to help keep us on the cold side once we get out to Thursday and Friday. So if we look at the European, these are temperature anomalies. How much above or below normal are those temperatures? You can see the East Coast is going to be above normal. But in the central United States, according to the European, this is valid on Thursday, some of these temperatures could be running 15 to 25 degrees below normal. All right, that's cold. It's not brutal, but it's going to be cold. The GFS, on the other hand, is a lot colder. And we saw that right here. Let's see, is this the one? We saw this on their meteogram. They've got the air a lot colder than some of the other models. Now, this also has the cold air over us at the end of the week, and then it brings another shot in by early next week. So what does all of this mean? Well, right now it means not a whole lot. It's just a forecast. But with that ridge setting up over the Pacific, nudging into the Gulf of Alaska, allowing colder air to come down from the North Pole into Canada, and eventually some of that cold air makes its way into Texas, the fresh snow cover to the north. All of that adds up to what will likely end up being a cold end of the week, perhaps the coldest air of the season so far. This will be fun to watch how it evolves, and I'm sure I'll make some additional videos along the way. I appreciate you watching. If you like this kind of thing, I guess what you do is like the page or follow the page. And if you want to leave some comments, go ahead. If you have some questions, I don't know if I can answer them, but I'll do my best. This is a new page, so we'll see how it goes. I'm liking it. I like doing it. So, all right, that's it for now. Have a great day.